Evangelion is a slow-motion emotional collapse played through teenage angst. A psychological breakdown packaged as mecha anime, where the real battles are fought in Tokyo Tree's avenues, but in the broken mindscapes of its pilots. And if Nerve is the stage, then Shinji Ikari's stationary digital audio tape player is the conductor. Shinji Ikari is the anxiety-riddled, chronically underparented teen chosen to pilot Evangelion Unit 1, basically humanity's last hope, because sure, why not give the fate of Earth to a kid with abandonment issues? This is a boy who flinches at his own shadow, whose default setting is flight rather than fight, suddenly expected to merge his consciousness. It's like handing the nuclear launch codes to the kid who gets panic attacks ordering at McDonald's. But forget the Ippai unit for a second, let's talk about the SD80 player. It's not just a retroflex, it's a character, a motif, a symbol, the silent narrator of Evangelion's emotional landscape. Sony's SD80, or stationary digital audio tape, is like the spiritual successor to the cassette tape player, lost to time in our timeline, but preserved in Evangelion's broken mirror of one. In our world, these devices vanished into technological obsolescence. In Shinji's world, they are lifelines. The SD80 is deliberately anachronistic, even within the show's universe. By 2015, when Evangelion takes place, digital music would have evolved far beyond portable cassette tape players. Yet, Shinji clings to this outdated technology because it's not about convenience, it's about connection. Now, some of you out there might think, oh, it's just aesthetic. There's more under the hood. Like most things in Evangelion, the SD80 isn't there by accident. It means something. It's a physical manifestation of Shinji's relationship with his absent father, outdated, one-directional, playing the same messages on repeat with no chance of response. A relationship where Shinji can only receive, never transmit. See, Shinji isn't just listening to music. He's hiding, he's building a wall, track by track, loop by loop. Because when your dad sends you to fight angels but won't return your phone calls, when your mother's soul is trapped in the very machine you pilot, when your roommate emotional stability makes Nitro look stable, well, you retreat into a machine, into a moment, into music. The SD80 player becomes his isolation pod, his iPod if you will. His denial bubble is only anchor to what used to be normal. As Tokyo Tree crumbles, while existential dread thickens in the air like fog, Shinji's just out there skipping tracks. Notice how he uses it. Earbuds in, volume up, eyes closed. It's not background noise, it's foreground escape. Every time reality becomes too jagged, too demanding, those earbuds going like emotional circuit breakers. And yes, track 25 and 26, we'll get to that. But for now, let's focus on the SD80 itself. This thing's slick, minimalist, quiet, just like Shinji wishes it could be. It represents personal space, autonomy, his last little corner of the universe that doesn't demand something from him. It's not a Walkman, it's a shield, a coping mechanism wrapped in Sony branding. The SD80 has physical buttons: rewind, fast forward, play, stop, simple binary commands that make sense in a world where nothing else does. Shinji can control this machine in ways he can't control his Ippai unit, his emotions, or the apocalyptic scenario unfolding around him. When everything else is chaos, synchronization rates, 80 fields, human instrumentality, the SD80 operates on predictable logic. Push play, music plays. Push stop, silence returns. It's the only relationship in his life with clear boundaries and consistent outcomes. And have you noticed? The SD80 never breaks. In a show where technology routinely fails catastrophically, where giant robots go berserk and computers get hacked by angels, this humble music player works flawlessly. Because it has to. Because if Shinji's last refuge failed him, there'd be nothing left. And the tracks, they are not random. They are the emotional B-sides of his psyche. It's a musical equivalent of Fetal Position, a sonic cocoon when words fail and actions terrify. That jazzy, oddly upbeat loop, it's irony in musical form. The tune says hope, but the context screams you're not okay. It's dissonance by design, the audio version of Shinji's fourth smile, and when the track switches mid-scene, that's Shinji switching moods. Or maybe desperately trying to. Moving forward, it almost seems like this SD80 player is on both random and loop modes simultaneously. In episode 2, when Blue Legend cuts to You Are the Only One, it's not just changing songs. It's Shinji frantically turning the dial on his emotional thermostat, trying to find a temperature where existence feels bearable. Music for him isn't just background, it's lifeline, it's therapy, it's the closest thing to a parent's whisper that this abandoned child has. And then, out of nowhere, we get these game soundtrack deep cuts. Yes, this confirms what we always suspected. Shinji's a gamer. He's not just a pilot, he's also a teenager who plays JRPGs and gets lost in chiptune nostalgia. A reminder, he's still a kid, just one with the weight of humanity on his shoulders. The His soundtrack isn't random either. It's from a game about a young hero thrust into saving a world he barely understands, fighting monsters that shouldn't exist, meeting people who need him despite his inexperience. Sounds familiar? Shinji's living his own twisted JRPG, minus the level ups, plus the psychological trauma. So yeah, let's break down what we actually get to hear through his earbuds. In episode 4 we get to hear Blue Legend and You Are the Only One taken from Lilia from Is. These tracks show how Shinji, despite his extraordinary circumstances, is still just a kid who plays video games. Blue Legend amplifies his sadness, while You Are the Only One reflects his desperate desire to connect with someone, anyone, in a meaningful way. He's listening to the soundtrack of a life parallel to his own, with clear objectives and winnable battles. In episode 15, the track You Are the Only One makes a comeback. It's played as Asuka asks Shinji to kiss her, making the song's return remarkably appropriate. The longing in this melody mirrors Shinji's growing desire to form connections, despite his fear of rejection, the eternal paradox of the hedgehog's dilemma. When this track plays, as he contemplates Asuka, it's not just background music. It's a window into his confused teenage heart, struggling with feelings that he doesn't have the emotional vocabulary to express. Background music A2 by Shiro Sagesu, an upbeat, punchy piece, clashes with Shinji's initial reluctance and fear. Notice how it plays during moments when he's overwhelmed by the responsibility thrust upon him. He's against what awaits him, a musical foreshadowing that his actions are merely delaying the inevitable. It's not just setting the mood, it's establishing his emotional baseline, apprehension, uncertainty, and resignation. Before Fly Me to the Moon by Shiro Sagesu, this iconic track of the series highlights the same emotions Shinji experiences, the desire to escape, to be anywhere but here. A jazzy, hopeful tune but juxtaposed with the grim reality of his situation, it becomes deeply ironic. Fly Me to the Moon isn't just a romantic fantasy, it's Shinji's desperate wish to escape Earth altogether, to flee the responsibilities, the Eva unit, the angels, his father. The moon represents that impossible distance he craves from his own life. Shinji probably plays this song when he needs variety from the BGM on constant repeat. Because if this guy is gonna be plugged in all the time, there needs to be some sort of variety, right? In episode 23, we get to hear Ryoute Ippai no Yume. Here, we return almost to normalcy as Shinji recovers from a dire event. The song title translates to both ends full of dreams, suggesting that with help, Shinji has found hope to continue, or at least the illusion of it. This track plays during one of his brief moments of calm before third impact, before everything falls apart completely. It's the musical equivalent of a deep breath before the plunge. In episode 24, we get to hear Ode to Joy by Beethoven. As the end of the world approaches, Shinji listens to Beethoven's masterpiece. A song to inspire the end of the world. Well, it's Beethoven, so it's definitely matching. Ode to Joy isn't just any classical piece, it's a celebration of universal brotherhood, of humanity united as one, playing as Kawada reveals himself as an angel, as Sile accelerates its planes for human instrumentality. This music foreshadows the forced unity that awaits humanity, the perfect soundtrack for what's coming. Let's get back to tracks 25 and 26. The theory that the final two episodes of Evangelion mirror the last tracks on Shinji's SDAT, a mental breakdown told in music, chaos, introspection, collapse, and maybe, just maybe, acceptance. They exist as potential, as mystery, just like the potential within Shinji that finally emerges in those final mind-bending episodes. Maybe track 25 is the sound of deconstruction of identity. Maybe track 26 is reconstruction, the sonic equivalent of I might be worthy of life after all. Empty space on the tape, waiting for Shinji to record his own conclusion, his own choice. Because in the end, Shinji doesn't beat the system. He doesn't win. He chooses to exist. He says, I am me. And in a series where identity is vague and nothing is real for long, that's the most rebellious act possible. The SDAT presence is powerful, but its absence speaks volume too. Notice when Shinji doesn't reach for it. Those rare moments when he's either completely present or utterly broken. When he decides to pilot Unit 1 to protect his friends, the SDAT stays in his pocket. When he sits silently in a devastated nerve after Kaworu's death, there's no music to hide behind. These are the moments when Shinji faces reality unfiltered, when he can't or won't retreat, when he's forced to engage with his actual life rather than live in the limbo between tracks. And in the end, after human instrumentality, after the sea of LCL and the choice to return to physical form with all its pain and possibility, we don't see the SDAT. Because maybe, just maybe, Shinji doesn't need it anymore. The SDAT isn't filler, it's form and function, a sonic mirror reflecting Shinji's internal apocalypse. Every track is a heartbeat, every skip a cry for help, every loop a desperate attempt to pause time before it gets worse. It's an brilliant shorthand for emotional state. It's character development embedded in prop. It's not just music, it's the quietest scream in anime history. And in a show where characters routinely shout their lungs out while piloting giant robots, it's often the SDAT's whispered melodies that speak the loudest truth about human condition.